Hi, it's Bee, and welcome back to Read and Roam. With the story competition deadline coming up, I've been thinking, what else can make my story shine? We've already added sensory details and descriptions, but today, while I was reading, I had a little aha moment and realized there's something really fun we can add to continue to bring our stories to life. Dialogue. Let's get started. Do you remember what dialogue is? Dialogue is what characters say out loud in a story. It's when characters talk or have conversations. But it's not just about talking. Authors use dialogue for many different reasons. It can teach us how a character feels or how they react to different situations. It can also help the story plot unfold by revealing new information or adding conflict. I marked some examples in my book to show you. In this part, the character is feeling nervous, but instead of just writing, Jaina was feeling nervous, the author wrote, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, Jaina whispered, her hands trembling. See how that line helps you feel what she's feeling? Here's another. This time, the dialogue helps show what's happening in the scene. Instead of just saying, the kids heard a strange noise and ran outside, the author wrote, Did you hear that? Matteo asked, jumping to his feet. Yeah, Ava said, heading for the door. It came from outside. Take a look at these two dialogue examples from my book. Pause the video and circle or underline anything that stands out or that you remember from our last video on dialogue. Did you notice the quotation marks? They're punctuation marks that show dialogue. They go at the beginning and end of the words the character says. There's also a small phrase called a speaking or dialogue tag that tells us who is talking and how they're saying it. This can come before or after the dialogue. This one tells us that Jaina is the character talking. And how is she talking? She's whispering because she's nervous and unsure. We have two speaking tags in this part. The first one lets us know Matteo is talking. The word asked tells us he's asking a question. Then it switches to Ava. Ava said. Said is a common word you'll see in these speaking tags. Without speaking tags, we wouldn't know which character in the conversation is talking. So, there are two big things we need to remember when adding dialogue. Quotation marks to show the beginning and end of the words being spoken, and speaking tags to tell who is speaking and how. Let's add some dialogue to my story. We've already built a strong beginning with details about Laura and her futuristic city. Now, it's time to dive into the middle where the action begins. Here's a quick recap. Laura built a robot to help clean up the city. Next, she'll show it to the mayor at a big event. Let's reread that part. The next day, Laura finished her robot and went to the event. Laura felt nervous as she walked on stage and greeted the mayor in front of a big crowd. I hope everything goes smoothly, she thought. Then she pressed the robot's on button, but suddenly it glitched and zoomed away. As it sped past people, it stole their hats and bags. Next, it went onto the road and caused a traffic jam. After that, it started emptying trash cans onto the sidewalk. It was causing chaos across the city. Laura jumped off the stage and started chasing after it. She used her smartwatch to track it and jumped on her hoverboard. Here, everything starts to go wrong. This is a great opportunity to show how Laura is feeling and reacting to the problem. How might she react when the robot suddenly glitches and zooms away? Pause the video and record what you think Laura might say after the underlined part in the story. Maybe she'd say something like, "Wait, no, that's not what you're supposed to do." Since those are Laura's words, we will add quotation marks at the start and end of the sentence. Next, we need to include a speaking or dialogue tag to show how she's saying these words. We could just write, "Laura said," but that doesn't really match the moment. She's surprised, maybe even panicked. So instead of using said, we might choose a stronger word like yelled, shouted, or cried. For example, we could write, "Wait, no, that's not what you're supposed to do," Laura shouted. This helps readers not just hear Laura's voice, but feel her emotion. Let's reread the end of the story and see where we can add more dialogue. Laura followed the robot to a tall tower where she found it running around in circles. She crouched behind a pillar and quickly came up with a plan. "If I throw some trash in that direction, it'll chase after it," she thought. As the robot went to grab it, Laura lunged forward and hit the off button. She had to tell the mayor, but she was nervous to talk to him. She took a deep breath, then pressed a button on her smartwatch to call him. He laughed and thanked her for fixing the problem, and Laura learned an important lesson to add better safety settings to her robot next time. At this moment, the reader will probably wonder, what does Laura actually say to the mayor? What might she say on this phone call? And how do you think she might say it? Pause here to record dialogue for Laura. Add quotation marks and a speaking tag that shows how Laura might sound. Think about how she's feeling in this moment. We'll have to give the mayor a name. Maybe she'll say, "Hi, Mayor Chen. I'm sorry about the mess. The robot glitched, but I found it and I've shut it down." Now for the dialogue tag. I'll use "Laura apologized." I think that fits well right after she says sorry, so this time I'll place it in the middle of the dialogue instead of at the end. I'll also add a bit more detail this time to help the reader picture how she's feeling. Here's how it sounds, all put together. "Hi, Mayor Chen. I'm sorry about the mess." Laura apologized, her voice trembling. "The robot glitched, but I found it and I've shut it down." Putting the speaking tag after the first sentence breaks up the dialogue and shows how Laura is speaking. The small addition of her voice trembling helps bring the moment to life, showing she's nervous. Now look at this line after. He laughed and thanked her for fixing the problem. Instead of this, we could include dialogue for Mayor Chen to show the whole conversation. What might he say back? Pause the video and record what Mayor Chen could say to Laura. Write the dialogue inside quotation marks with a speaking tag. Maybe we could add, "Thank you for calling. Your quick thinking saved the day," Mayor Chen replied. But remember, there's no one right answer here. What's important is that it matches the storyline. Just 3 lines of dialogue made a big difference. They'll help readers connect with the characters and understand the story. Now, it's your turn. In your lesson materials, add your own dialogue using quotation marks and speaking tags to your story. Try words other than said. Maybe the character whispered, whined, or giggled. Next time, we'll do our final revision before I submit my story to the competition. Until then, remember, where there are words, there's a world to explore. I'll see you next time.